Welcome to Engaging Truth. My name is David Bahn. I'm the host for tonight's program, and I'm happy to have Lisa Candido with us. She is tell us, what is your actual title with the Texas District of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod?
My title is Director of External Relations.
Director of External Relations. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Tell us a little bit about your family. You married, you have children, tell us about that.
I do. I am married with 3 children. We live out in Georgetown. I have 3 boys, one in college and one in high school and one starting 4th grade.
Boy, oh boy. So that's some interesting times in your house when everybody's home and some of that male hormones kick in, right, with each other. Yeah. Did you ever have to worry about, like, you may actually hurt each other when we had 4 boys, and that's kind of what I was remembering about that.
So I know my mom friends are always like, doesn't that wrestling bother you? I'm like, nope. No, I know somebody's going to get hurt, but they're all aware of the consequences. So
well, that's a good lesson for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your position with the Texas District, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I started 5 years ago, and at that time, my position was named Director of Communications. So it's really changed over the last 5 years. But really, my role is to share the stories that are going on across the district,
wow,
whether that's website or video or letters. But I get the unique opportunity to learn those stories about how the Word of God is being spread across Texas and share those with our various audiences.
Mm-hmm. So some of the audiences that you reach out to, who are you trying to connect with?
We obviously, congregations, our mission is to strengthen congregations. So congregations and ordained and commissioned workers are, our top audience. But then also everyone that's part of the Texas District or not, honestly. I mean, maybe I should say that those that are unchurched are our priority audience, because that's what we're trying to do. But in the way of keeping our congregations updated on upcoming events or changes to policies and procedures, those kinds of things, that is our main goal, to make sure that they have the tools that they need from the district in order to do what they need to do.
So do you actually provide support to congregations in terms of their own communications efforts, or is it much more trying to get the story out?
I'd say it's more about getting the story out. For my role from the president's office, we've got a great staff there that do minister to minister and some of our external communication. And so they're really there to provide that key information that especially our ordained individuals need to know.
And as you're sharing the stories, I'm a little bit on the inside here, because I've seen some correspondence that you've had regarding some of the particular specific mission start stories that we're trying to get out. Can you think of one offhand that maybe is worth maybe sharing with folks as they're listening tonight?
Absolutely. And I guess before I do that, though, so part of my role is communications for Texas Partners in Mission. So, we're communicating with givers to raise money for those missions, and 100% of what is donated goes to missions, whether that's, our evangelist program or Mission Starts church planners. And so we really want to focus on sharing how this is being used across the district, and letting people know that the gifts that they've given are truly going to spreading the Word of God.
So I'm going to stop you for just a second about that. That's really good. You mentioned Texas Partners in Mission. That is a specific fund, if you will, a specific opportunity for people to support direct mission work. Is that a fair way to say that?
That is correct. So giving to the Texas District, but noting that it's Texas Partners in Mission, that will go directly to missions, 100%. We also work with Texas District Church Extension Fund on a Texas TwoStep program to partner with them to even increase your donation to missions. So giving, opening account with Texas CEF, minimum of 5,000, then making those donations to Texas Partners in Mission actually increases what we're able to do.
Yeah. So say just a little bit about that Texas TwoStep program. Then I'm going to get back to what you were saying a moment ago. The Texas TwoStep program, open an account with the Texas Church Extension Fund for $5,000. I think you get an extra percentage bump because of doing that.
That's correct. So you open that account and make a minimum $1,000 donation to Texas Partners in Mission. And then you do get that added point, as you mentioned.
Wow.
And we were very lucky at convention. Our offering was for Texas Partners in Mission. We got an outpouring of gifts. The generosity was just overwhelming. And that was matched by Texas District CEF and Legacy Deo. So yeah, that was just something that was so fabulous to see.
So I'm going to circle back to what I interrupted you from a moment ago, and was asking about the story that you might have with regard to one of the stories you're trying to share.
Sure. And I think it means so much to me because it has a bit of a personal connection, and it's one that we haven't shared yet in our mission story videos, but we will upcoming. My youngest child has Down syndrome. And so one of the things that as a family, we have a mission to create meaningful jobs for individuals with intellectual disabilities. And so following what Reverend Doublestein is doing with Link San Antonio and opening up, a way to reach out to others is opening a bit of a coffee trailer. And I want to learn more about that in the next little bit. But speaking to him, I know that he's employed somebody that also has some disabilities. And so I just think that's fabulous. Church doesn't have to be within the four walls. It can be anywhere. And whether that's serving coffee or having, your worship gathering at a coffee shop. And so that really intrigues me how I'm seeing what's happening across Texas go outside of those four walls. And we're meeting people where they're at. Which I just think is fabulous. Another one is the expansion ministries that go on in the Dallas area and how they're offering tutoring to students, again, meeting people where they're at, serving a need that they have, and showing Christ's love just in day-to-day activities.
That's wonderful. You mentioned website, videos, and letters. If somebody would like to actually see, are the videos available on the website, or how does somebody get to that and maybe see some of these so that they could really be encouraged by that?
Yeah, on our homepage at txlcms.org, there are links to our most current videos. We also have a Texas District LCMS YouTube channel, which has all of our videos, including even the recent convention. That was one thing that we're doing a little bit different, with changes in communication. We were able to post our Bible studies, the whole convention, not just the worship gatherings. And so we were able to put those on YouTube so folks could go back and participate and watch.
You mentioned changes. That really does remind us there's been some changes in the whole communication scene over the last years, and especially probably through COVID. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, for us, we needed to think outside the box and come up with some unique ways that we continue to do what we're doing to support congregations, not in person. So the first thing that we did was the Professional Church Workers Conference, typically held every 3 years. We made that a completely online event. And I think it worked really well. It was our first one ever to do it that way, but we were able to engage folks virtually. They were able to chat and connect. We were able to share some videos and do some things that honestly we wouldn't have been able to do in person. And at a reduced cost too. Honestly, we can look at the negatives of COVID and how it's changed communication, but one of the positives is we're able to engage and do these things with folks right from their home. They don't have to travel. They don't have to, spend money to go at hotels. And so I think that's been a real benefit as well.
So you did the Church Workers Conference by video. And as you did that, what was there like any big aha, you mentioned just the fact that people could access it a little bit easier. Well, I'm sure there was a learning curve.
There was, finding a platform, what capabilities does Zoom have? What capabilities does, Google Hangout? There are all these different platforms you can use, and finding out what's going to serve you the best. And we have had a blessing of working with some outside companies that, hit the road running when COVID hit. And so that they had a lot more experience and they walked us through it. But I think this is going to be something that will continue to remain, and we will continue to offer kind of this hybrid event opportunity. And so internally, we want to learn how to do that ourselves, so it's seamless for our audience, and they can feel like they're there, even though they're not physically present. They can still engage and not just feel like they're being talked at, but it's a two-way communication road.
We're talking with Lisa Candido of the Texas District of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. She is the Director of External Relations. Is that right? And so you're wanting to make sure that people outside of the Texas District, especially people outside, I'm thinking of the district office, the various congregations and workers are connected with the mission. And the mission of the Texas District is to help congregations.
Strengthen congregations, yes.
Yeah.
Both globally and locally, yeah.
So we want to make disciples. We want to have people learn more about Jesus and follow him. And that's really important to all you do. And I really, really do appreciate that. So you mentioned the coffee shop in San Antonio as one of the stories that you're telling. You have others as well, and are these on video? Are they written form? How do you typically get those out?
In the beginning, we really tried to utilize blogs, and through the assistance of, at that time, they were called mission and ministry facilitators. They were really the boots on the ground remote workers that were hearing these stories. But what we found, and especially with trying to engage younger people, is that videos really spoke to people more than reading a blog. And so we've transitioned over the last, I'd say, 12 to 16 months to capture videos monthly, sharing these stories. And they're, they can be everything from how our Lutheran schools did graduation when you couldn't do in-person graduations for COVID-19, or when Austin had their large storm, some of the local congregations that were getting trailers where people could do their laundry or get food or take showers. So, I mean, I can't just keep it to one story. There's so many great ones that are happening, and so many great ones that we're hearing that we want to be able to cover. But we have really transitioned into more video than just the written part of it with blogs. And eventually I'd like to do something like podcasts. I think podcasts are something that people really enjoy. And I think they like to hear from the horse's mouth, these stories. So videos can capture that, but you don't want them to be too long. So then we're limited that way, where something like a podcast, you can have more time and you can really enhance the story for people to hear it and get engaged with it. So we're always kind of thinking of newer ways that we can share these stories and meet a more diverse audience. So whether that's translation into Spanish, or like I mentioned, younger individuals, some social media teasers where we just are enough to get them interested in the story and then loop them back to the longer video.
Yeah. Thank you. We're speaking with Lisa Candido, the Director of External Relations with the Texas District of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. Thank you for connecting with us on Engaging Truth. Evangelical Life Ministries, ELM, is a group of volunteers in the Houston areas who not only plan each of these broadcasts, but also produce them. Each broadcast is founded on God's Word, centered in the saving grace of Jesus Christ. Your prayers and financial gifts help us send each broadcast through various delivery technologies to our country and even throughout the world. Please go to elmhouston.org and click on the donate button to help support us in that. Or you can send your support to ELM, P.O. Box 568, Cypress, Texas 77410. Again, that's ELM, P.O. Box 568, Cypress, Texas 77410. We appreciate every gift and promise to use your gift to send the good news of Jesus to all the world. Thanks so much for your help. Again, elmhouston.org. That's the place you can connect with us. But we also want you to connect with Lisa and with the Texas District. You mentioned podcasts. I think that seems to be, at least to me, to be a growing phenomenon. You can right now I'm listening to a podcast series on the Revolutionary War. I mean, you can get things about just about anything. Very well done. So is this something that you have plans for, or is it at this point in time a hope, or where are you with that?
For me, it's a hope and a goal and what we can do. I am so fortunate to have such a supportive team and a supportive president and Michael Newman that we can explore these things. What's a thought, what's a possibility, and what can we do? So that's one thing, that I would really like to see in my role over the next couple of years, hopefully, that we could start producing something like that.
Yeah, that really sounds good. So tell us about now when you went to you had to make this big transition with the whole COVID, and you decided, okay, we're going to actually record not only the worship services but the Bible classes and the Bible studies that were made. Did that include even recording like the breakout sessions at the district convention, or is that something separate, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, all credit for what congregations did. That's all them, and kudos to them. But for the district convention, yes, we did record all the breakout sessions so people could listen to what those very valuable speakers had to say.
Yeah, and all of that is available on the YouTube channel.
We will have.
Go ahead.
It is, yeah, yeah. I was just going to say, coming up in October, we'll also have our pastors conference. And so again, on that same model, how can we provide the ability for our pastors to interact not only in a physical space, but online as well, and then sharing for those that are unable to attend.
So it will be actually a hybrid option, so pastors can be present physically in person as well as tune in online. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is what we're trying to that's what our hope is, to be able to do that. Yes, yes.
I've been a part of that. That can be challenging.
It can be. And we really are fortunate to have, congregations that work with us to help host those events and have the expertise in their congregations for the AV support and those kinds of things. We're all a team across Texas, right? We can't do it alone. So
yeah. So did you I'm sure you maybe also saw congregations make that huge switch when COVID shut so many things down and they went online and so forth. Were you able to be a part of seeing that happen, or your own church, for example, or tell us, give us any insight you have about that?
Yeah, there's a couple of videos. In fact, I think it was a 3-part series that we did on how COVID affected worship. And how we gather together, and then kind of what is the future going to bring. And those are some great videos that highlight what some of the congregations were doing. We were able to provide some resources in the beginning. We had a COVID-19 resource page that we tried to provide as much information, whether it was statewide or federal, and also some resources that could help them make that transition to an online gathering. I mean, I've been so impressed with what the congregations have been able to do. And I think many will continue to sustain that. As having, a family member with a compromised immune system, and especially as things continue to change, it seems like every day things are changing again. For that kind of population to be able to still worship and do that from home, and to keep others safe. If you're not feeling well, you can still be part of worship and stay within your space and keep others safe.
So for you personally during this last year and maybe just even now, what would you say is your biggest challenge as you're trying to carry out the mission that you have as part of the Texas District?
Oh boy. I guess I would have to say, as a full-time working mom and
Mm.
trying to balance online schooling for both an elementary and high school, I would like to be out there more, interacting personally with the congregations. Before COVID, I was able to really go with our videographer and meet the congregations and the pastors and the individuals sharing their story about how they came to Christ. And I just haven't been able to do that as much. And so that's a challenge for me to really be able to share those stories personally when I haven't been able to be there to hear them. But we have a great team that goes out and just captures those stories in such a great way that I really feel like, so many of them have brought me to tears. You're able to really just feel touched by what they're saying within those videos.
Yeah.
But I think
So
on a personal level, that's probably been the most challenging, as I'm sure it has been for many families for the
yeah.
last year.
Yeah. And you mentioned here bringing you to tears, and that's really because it's connecting people with the love of Jesus. I'm thinking that that's really what would be what's important to you. If at the end of the day, when you have finished your work day and you know that you've had a big win, what is that? I mean, what's your big win? Is it like, I finally made that perfect recording, or is it something else?
Honestly, I get to see the stats of people looking at things. So
Okay.
a big win for me is that, we sent out our monthly Catalyst newsletter and we had
Mhm.
65% of the people we sent it to open it up. And we had 40% actually go onto the video. So that's a huge win that, we put time and effort and people received it and enjoyed it and experienced it and heard it, so that's just fabulous for me.
That is
And
the
things
win.
like,
Mhm.
Texas Partners in Mission, we continue to plant churches. We continue to increase the number of evangelists in the training program. We are, reaching more than 9,000 people on a weekly basis. And it's those things that just fulfill me and just keep us going, right? To continue to spread the gospel and the number of folks that can hear it. This is such a crucial time, in my opinion, for people to be hearing it and to feel that the church is there for them during this challenging time.
Boy, no kidding. Say that number again, 9,000 people.
More than 9,000 weekly. We, are reaching the gospel through what we're doing.
So they're hearing about the love of Jesus and the promise of everlasting life that he has for us through the work that you're doing. That's got to be very rewarding. And
well, not just me, again.
I understand. Right.
A larger team.
But you're
yes,
facilitating it, right?
as a collaborative group of individuals, the
Mhm.
missionaries and the church planners and the evangelists, we are reaching so many people
Mhm.
within the Texas district.
Yeah.
And I think that's just fabulous.
Well, we're talking with Lisa Candido of the Texas District Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. She is sharing her work in communications as the Director of External Relations. And Lisa, let's just one final thought here that you'd love to leave us with. If somebody's listening to this and you would like them to engage with what you're doing, how is the best way for them to do that?
Through the website, they can go on. There's an info@txlcms.org. My personal email is on there as well. But I just want to share gratitude for not only the gifts that we receive, but the prayers and the words of encouragement and support that we get from members and congregations and ordained and commissioned workers, church workers across. It's just such a supportive group of individuals that are working to do this in our state.